there's all this, revenue just waiting there for us to pick, and we're not doing it.
Instead of relying on one outlet, they will surf 10, 20, or 30 different websites. So it's a very different manner in which people get information today.
Well, I think we have a lot more options now than we used to.
People have much more choice, and they don't just have to rely on their hometown paper or the evening newscast. They can get news from all kinds of places.
Actually giving consumers more choices than ever before. They have more sources to get news and to get information and to find the information that really is most relevant to their lives.
Giving people more information, empowering them to make presumably better decisions, but at the end of the day giving them options that they can choose to avail themselves of or not.
It puts a great responsibility on the consumer for the type of information that they're going to choose for the rest of their news diet.
The biggest challenge in the new media universe from a voter standpoint is in-depth coverage of policy issues and investigative journalism.
It takes more work on the part of the consumer, I would say now, to siphon their way through all that's out there.
All these cuts in the news media are costing us local reporters who aren't covering city council as much. They're not covering tax increases, crime rates, education. All these jobs are being cut.
You could end up with a country that not only is split between separate right and left-wing conversations, but split between a rich professional class and the average.
I think that it's more difficult for people today to figure out who they can really trust when it comes to news.
You need to sort of get the basic facts, which for a long time that's what you got from sort of the mainstream media.
Social networking is a big part of the new media outlet.
You can reconnect with people from high school that you haven't been in touch with for years through media like Facebook.
There's a sharing of information that becomes a part of a conversation.
There's a lot more sharing, there's a lot more discussion over also stories that might not necessarily have gotten a lot of weight in your traditional newspaper.
A real value in peer recommended news, in saying that, hey, you should read this.
It's almost like having a personalized newspaper devoted to yourself.
I think that we're more connected than ever to our communities, but our communities are defined differently now.
I think this is one of the parts of the new media landscape that I enjoy the most.
The bad news is once you've reconnected, you're now stuck with those people that maybe you fell out of touch with for a reason.
The most negative impact has been the decline of newspapers. Newspapers have been the social glue in many communities.
People are much less informed, and they're willing to believe any garbage they read on the internet.
We are being buried under information today.
The revenue model has crumbled. It does not exist. It's not going to finance news in the future, and a new revenue model is yet to be found.
What the internet has done is sort of removed the editor, disintermediated it, I think is the jargon.
Just the wealth of information out there makes it very difficult for people to navigate.
Don't know if people necessarily think about where their news is coming from.
As there is more information out there, we actually also have less time with which to consume it.
We're in sort of this tumultuous transitional period when it comes to the media.
That local community connection is starting to be lost, and I think that is a big threat to American culture as we know it today.
The availability of news, the availability of more information.
People actually have more and greater diversity in information today than we've ever had in the history of the United States.
Diversity of viewpoint.
The ability to share it with others.
The passion that people are bringing to current events.
Giving people more control.
More choice is always better. Who wants less choice?
Now you've got bloggers that represent all sorts of interest.
It will help us hear more voices that maybe wouldn't have gotten heard in the past.
I think it's become cool to be smart about current events, and I think that's certainly a currency that the internet and new media has helped.
Maybe certain ideas that people would have never thought of before start to resonate.
If you're intensely interested in a subject that USA Today or the Washington Post isn't interested in, no problem. You can go on the web and find out all you care to, and that's a great thing.